Director of the Year. Curious why? We'll schedule your spend a day at DeLaSalleNola.com or call us at 504-895-5717.
Overnight tonight, we got some isolated showers along the coast. Some heat coming back tomorrow and the next several days. And then by Saturday, a weak front will produce some strong storms potentially. Then we'll dry out with a little less humid conditions, but still hot for Sunday. 20% overnight, 30% tomorrow, low to mid-90s. Low to mid-90s, 30% on Friday. By Saturday, 50% if not higher with a few strong storms by then. Then a bit lower on the humidity, but it's still hot Sunday. Is your company in the oil field or marine industry? And are you thinking about liquidating it? Henderson Auctions would love to discuss their flexible auction terms for the marine auction coming up in Houma, September 29th. Call now, 1-800-850-2252 for the marine auction coming up in Houma, September 29th. Call 1-800-850-2252. Flexible auction terms. HendersonAuctions.com. Auctioneer M. Henderson, Louisiana license number 136-16. Ralph Sanji, WGSO.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last president of the United States of America.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another action-packed episode of Battle of New Orleans Radio. I'm Nathan Lawrenson, along with our host, Caleb Hitt on Skype, and we also have Goyim on the phone. But we have a special guest in studio. We have Phil the Patriot in studio with us tonight. You know, look, we're a show that is for the people, by the people, of the people. You know, so we try to, incorporate our audience into the show. So look, if any of our listeners out there ever want to come to the show, look, call up. We can arrange it. It's not an issue. We usually have a pretty good time up here. Wow, what a week has it been? It's been just an insane week. Like our good buddy Goyim has been, predicting for months and months and months now. He's, been saying, look, wait till the week of the NBA Finals are ending. Wait till that week. There's going to be mass shootings and chaos after that point because we're not going to be distracted as much. And what do you know? The week the NBA Finals is ending. We have the first shooting in Orlando where Christina Grimmie got shot, the singer, and then the following night we have the situation at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando where 49 people were killed, and then one included, 50 people altogether, one including the suspected shooter, Mr. Omar Mateen. Well, initially when I seen this, I said, wow, it's at a gay nightclub. It's a Muslim. It's the second shooting, major national, recognized shooting in 2 days in Orlando. It just fit, with all this LGBT stuff that's just everywhere now that, they're just shoving down our throat at every level. I said, man, this just fits all of the social aspects. This is crazy. And then when I seen it, I told my grandfather, I said, look, Pop, I said, I guarantee the FBI has some sort of involvement here. Either they've interviewed him or they know of him. And sure enough, the Guardian released an article Sunday showing how, the FBI was in contact, with Mr. Mateen at least 3 times. Then it came out, I believe it was Monday or yesterday, that he was followed for 10 months. They surveilled him. They watched all of his communications. They knew where he was going. They knew the whole deal. This guy, Mr. Mateen, he worked for a private security contracting company that has ties to the CIA, that has ties to our government. The name of the company, I believe it's G4S. It used to be Wackenhut. Wackenhut also was one of the largest private prison corporations in the world. So this is a great company. They do some great work. So anyway, Mr. Mateen was employed by this company. Then we come to find out that this same company was actually bringing in migrants across the border. They were smuggling them from Mexico over to the United States with the help of DHS. It was actually Department of Homeland Security contracts that were allowing them to do this and not get in any trouble. And they were transporting OTMs. OTM stands for other than Mexicans. So you kind of see there's just all kind of crazy ties. Mateen's brother-in-law, he was also involved in this refugee smuggling process. The father is getting some funding through a CIA front company. He's met Obama in the White House several occasions. I mean, the story just gets more wild and more wild. But this is after every one of these stories, and the reason I knew the FBI at least had contact with this individual is because all these last shootings, they've always had contact with these people. You go back to San Bernardino, they followed them for 10 months. You go back to Garland, they followed them for 9 months. And why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because the FBI has been caught actually facilitating acts of terror at all levels. They've actually been the reason for most terror plots since 9/11 in the United States. They've been busted repeatedly. They got busted in Seattle trying to set some guys up. I mean, just repeatedly. Even Judge Napolitano has on Fox News, he did a whole show about this. LA Times has written about this. I believe the New York Post and New York Times has written about this. So, this is just another example. Just like the Zarnev brothers, they were watching them. And I look at it like this. If the FBI and our government followed these people, they know what they're about, they were looking at their communications, then if they don't do anything about this, at bare minimum, then they're still at fault. But we know it goes way deeper than that. And why does it go way deeper than that? Because you just have to look at what's been going on since 9/11. Since 9/11, you just look from the Bush administration, the Obama administration, we've been arming the terrorists. I mean, but it goes back further than that. You go back to 1979 with the Mujahideen and Jimmy Carter and Brzezinski. I can't think of it. Zbigniew Brzezinski. We were arming the Mujahideen and giving them weapons. Well, there's no difference now. You look at Obama. He's basically the commander-in-chief of ISIS. We've given them weapons. We've given them military support. We've given them airstrike support. We have given them billions of dollars. Then the big banking houses, the IMF, the World Banks in Europe, have opened the borders through the EU in Europe. They're doing the same thing here. Our border is wide open, okay? Our border is wide open. So, look, we have gone over there to the Middle East. Okay, the stated plan in 1997 for the Partnership of a New American Century was to destabilize the Middle East and make it in the West's image, okay? That was in 1997. We look, since 9/11, and also in that same document, I've talked about this ad nauseum, that said they needed a new Pearl Harbor, okay, to make these things happen. What did we have in 9/11? I'm wearing my 9/11 is an inside job shirt right now. You know what I'm saying? So just think about that, and I'm bringing all that up because it correlates to what is really, really going on today, okay? Look what. All right, if we have no borders, our borders are wide open, we've went over there to the Middle East, we've radicalized these people, we've given them weapons, we've given them funding, then we bring them over here. At bare minimum, our government is bringing them over here, and they know what's going to happen once these people are radicalized. They come over here and they're not going to assimilate. They know there's going to be a clash of civilizations here in the street. So what they do is the FBI goes in there and they'll find some drugged up patsies, or they'll find mentally ill people, or they'll find people that they can manipulate, and they'll try to, throw some terror plot out there. We don't know the full scope of really what happened at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. But we do know the government is a bunch of known liars. We have overthrown more than 50 governments in the last 60 years. Okay, our government is known is a gang of known liars and criminals. So why should we believe what the hell they tell us now about the nightclub shooting? Look, we're going to dive more into this when we get back. Look, please call us up. We are listener supported. Call us up, 504-556-9696, Battle of New Orleans Radio, right here, 990 AM, WGSO. Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I have to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Renovations your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here in the heart of the Crescent City at 990 AM WGSO. Look, call us up. We'd love to hear from you. It's 504-556-9696. Hey, Tony, we haven't heard from you in a while, man. I heard you call up Jeff today. Give us a call, man. I like the point you had made. So if you're listening, Tony or Brian, look, y'all call us up. Wow. I mean, it's just the amount of information that's coming out now. And you know, the reason I question all of these shootings is because there's always more to the story. There's always more to the story to all of these events. You know, I mean, look, the government, it legalized propaganda, you know, through the CIA, I believe it was 2 years ago. You know, they have control of our media. We know that the CIA gives Hollywood billions of dollars. It gives our media billions of dollars. So it's all pretty much been manipulated and co-opted. So if our government is a bunch of known liars, you know, I use this analogy all the time. It's like if you catch your kid in the cookie jar repeatedly, and then one day you go to get your cookie, and there's no cookies in the cookie jar, but yet you see crumbs going all the way to your daughter's room, and she's got chocolate chips on her face. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the same thing. We've caught the government, like I said earlier, has been involved in more than 50 coups overthrowing governments. Okay, in the last 60 years, they've been caught running operations. Look, they lied to get us into Vietnam. Okay, they lied to get us into Iraq. I mean, nothing they tell us is the truth. So what makes you think they're going to give you the truth today, you know, with this whole Pulse fiasco? I mean, look, the whole plan, let me back up. Okay, I believe it was 2 years ago, the Small Arms Trade Treaty was signed. Okay, that is the United Nations disarmament. It comes out of the United Nations Disarmament Office. And in this treaty, it says the people, you know, the nations that have signed on to this, that their citizens are not even going to be allowed to even have small arms or revolvers. So this is what it says. And we're signed into this treaty. Okay, it's just like in the 60s when 10 years before Richard Nixon started the whole war on drugs, the United Nations had a giant push for a war on drugs. And it's the same thing. You know, you look at Agenda 21 that was, you know, started in 1992, you know, we were signed on to, and you see everything that's being implemented now. It's the same thing with this treaty. It's going to take a lot of, you know, incrementalization and a lot of little things to get us to that point, and that's where we're at. You know, this is a complete Hegelian dialectic plan: problem, reaction, solution. You know, they cause the problem, they steer the reaction, and then they give you the solution, and the solution is always less freedom, more government. You know, everybody right now is ready to turn their damn guns in. I say everybody. You know, the media portrays it that way. We have all these Hollywood people that, you know, they're tweeting, you know, turn them in and all this garbage. You know, they're demonizing the AR-15, and come to find out it wasn't even an AR-15 used. It was a Sig Sauer carbine that was used. It shoots a 5.56 round. So it wasn't even an AR-15. But look, I think we have a call on line one. We got no, line two, excuse me. We have David from Metairie on line two. How you doing, David?
I'm good, Nathan. Thanks for you know, covering all this. You're doing a great job, and I think the more, you know, people understand the details of it, they see how the narrative kind of falls apart, and that the media is pushing. And I'm on CNN's website right now because I like to try to look and see what other folks are saying, because I just kind of stick to my, you know, own sources and you know, that I think are trustworthy. So I'm looking at CNN right now, and it says that Donald Trump failed his first test, which I guess was this response to the shooting in Florida. And you know, I'm not exactly sure how he failed, but I'm assuming everything I've heard from him has been basically the same points he's been trying to make about banning, pressing the pause button on immigration from countries that have known terror cells in them, or that you know, that there's terrorist activity, and then also that if there were gunfire going back the other way, if somebody were armed in that club, then you wouldn't have 100 people dead.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, well, 49 people, 100 people shot.
Yeah. 49 people killed, 100 people, shot or killed. So,
well, I got something for you, David. Okay, the media, you know, they say there's only one gunman, but there's been multiple eyewitnesses that have said there's been multiple gunmen. Matter of fact, one eyewitness said that he heard the suspected shooter, Martin, having a conversation on his cell phone, saying that there was 3 other shooters and there was actually a female involved. Now, we see there's more than 1,000 rounds that were fired off. That's a box of ammunition. And plus, he had a rifle and a supposed handgun. There is no way. It's physically impossible for him to get that many rounds off and carry all of that by himself. And what's your take on that, David? What's your take on that, Caleb?
I'll tell you this. I don't know how many I could shoot at a range, but if you give me 3 hours to do it, I might be able to pull off a lot. But
all the shootings, it was supposed to. Caleb, maybe you have some information on this. Most of the shootings took place though within 7 minutes?
Yeah, 7 or 8 minutes. I believe 7 minutes. Yeah. Every
right.
1,000.
Well, I'm going to say this. Why does it take 3 hours for the SWAT team to get there? I mean, okay, if the shooting happened in 7 minutes, yeah, it's physically impossible to shoot 1,000 rounds unless you've got a Tommy gun or a Gatling gun. But they're calling Trump out and saying it's the same old points about he's attacking Islam and he's a racist and he's a bigot. And so you're going back to what you were saying about the media. It seems to me, I was talking to a liberal today, they can't stand the media either. They know that they're a bunch of liars. Nobody really likes the news. And so I don't think people are really paying attention to a whole lot of what they're saying. I mean, we're still dependent on them in some sense, or the majority of the public is dependent on them because they don't seek alternative news. But it just reinforces the fact that you're saying they're just a mouthpiece for this narrative that they want to push, and ultimately it's gun control and massive migration and the goal to, in my opinion, destroy this country.
Yeah, and look, this is what globalism looks like. Globalism has destroyed Europe with open borders, and this is what's coming here. It's not my opinion. We've been signed on to the SPP 2005 North American Union. We've been signed on to all these globalist treaties. People always ask me, what's a false flag? What's a definition? And look, let me tell you something. If the government and the powers that be, the corporate elite have wound up these people in the Middle East, open our borders, then bring them here and sit on their hands and watch attacks happen, that is a false flag, and they are complicit and are involved. Okay, people need to understand that. Look, David, if you can, hang on with us a little bit. We're catching a break right now. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here, 990 AM WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. We'll be right back.
Like a blazing sun, you don't want to see because you're having fun. But those who control all the information celebrate a lie to the people to keep them watching. And the walls come crashing down as the war at home reaches your town. You have no choice, it's safe and clean. We all submit to the
Renovation's your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
Grace at the Greenlight gives homeless men and women the options they need to strengthen their independence and make positive changes in their lives. This year alone, Grace has provided over 5,000 meals, thousands of bottles of water, and united 47 homeless individuals with their families. To find out how you can help, call 504-239-4544 or visit graceatthegreenlight.org. Grace would like to thank the following sponsors for their support: McMath Construction, Christ Church Cathedral, Perrier and Lacoste, McGee School, Fallberg Private Wealth, Capital Business Solutions, Oral and Berry LLC, Fat Bankers Social Aid and Pleasure Club, Emery and James Limited, Kushner LaGraze, and First NBC. Join us in helping make a difference in the lives of the local homeless community. Visit graceatthegreenlight.org.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Halen Doty. The fines for texting or using social media while driving have been increased from $175 to $500 for a first offense, as a bill has been signed into law by the governor. Major Doug Kane with State Police says they deal with distracted driving accidents almost every day, and it's something that's entirely avoidable. He says using a cell phone while driving can be a deadly decision.
That focus has to be on driving the entire time you're behind the wheel. For your own safety, for the safety of your passengers, and the safety of everybody else.
The new law is now in effect, and FEMA has released a smartphone app that helps residents get prepared for potential natural disasters. FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate says it gives you a checklist to follow in the palm of your hand, even if you lose cell service.
It will update information, but more importantly, it has basic steps built into the app. So even if you lose connectivity, you still have some first step information on what to do in an emergency.
He says the app is available in the iTunes Store and on Google Play. Louisiana Radio Network.
Paid for by the Louisiana Manufacturers PAC. Greg Bowser, Administrator. New state taxes on businesses have put at risk billions of dollars in petrochemical investment. Thousands of good jobs may not come to the state. Louisiana's business climate has changed for the worse, and anti-business rhetoric has been heard like a shot around the world. Louisiana is now closed for business. It's time to tell the governor and the legislature, enough is enough. No more business taxes.
Real people, steal people. From heroes like fire rescue teams to homeowners like you, people trust Steel for power, service, and value. This season, dependable Steel trimmers start at just $129.95. And when the job's done, clear your walkways with a hard-working Steel blower, now starting at just $139.95. Real people, Steel people. Find your real Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. All prices MSRP at participating dealers while supplies
This
last.
is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. In the aftermath of the worst terror attack since 9/11, President Barack Obama did not show bipartisanship, leadership, or even class. He refused to call the governor of Florida, probably because he's a Republican. He displayed anger toward Donald Trump as opposed to radical Islam. He refuses to label the enemy appropriately, using the innocuous term extremism. He continues to use every tragedy such as this as an opportunity to call for more gun control. He has denounced Trump's call for a ban on Muslim immigration until we can get a handle on the terror threat. And with 10,000 new tips coming into the FBI, we don't have a handle on the terror threat. And obviously, as was displayed in the last incident, we have agencies that aren't talking to each other. So the blame falls on the Obama administration. The anger here should be reserved for the American people. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Grace at the Greenlight is a not-for-profit outreach that serves the homeless community in the New Orleans area. In just over a year, we have served over 22,000 meals and distributed over 40,000 bottles of water to the homeless. Grace at the Greenlight would like to thank First NBC for sponsoring this week's food and water distribution. Thanks, First NBC, for making a difference in the lives of the local homeless community. For more information about Grace at the Greenlight, visit our website at graceatthegreenlight.org.
What are you doing to stop traffic? when your business is ready to wow the pants off customers. Visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just the trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
Work for us or we work for the government? Can the federal government take credit for saving us from a plot of its own creation? Tonight, has the federal government kept us safe, or does it just want us to think that it has kept us safe? Since the tragedy of 9/11, numerous crazies and low-level copycats have engaged in criminal behavior which they hoped would result in the deaths of innocent Americans and somehow advance their cause of jihad. If you ask the leadership of the FBI, most of whose field agents are tireless, dedicated, Constitution-supporting professionals, it will tell you that the FBI, has foiled about 17 plots to kill Americans during the past 10 years. What it will not tell you is that there have been 20 foiled plots, and of them, 3 were interrupted by members of the public. The 17 that were interrupted by the feds were created by the feds. We all remember the 3 that were foiled by diligent Americans: the shoe bomber, the underwear bomber, and the Times Square bomber. In all of these cases, the crimes charged were those of attempting to kill and conspiring with others to do so. In all 3 of those cases, alert Americans on transcontinental flights or in the streets of New York City told authorities of bizarre behavior or actually subdued the threats themselves. There was no foiling by the FBI. The plotters were, thankfully, bumbling fools who had poorly planned their criminal behavior and who ended up harming no one. All 3 are serving life terms. But the more curious cases are the remaining 17.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio. That was Judge Napolitano. The name of that clip is "The FBI Creates, Then Foils Terror Plots, False Flags Exposed by Judge Napolitano" on YouTube. So, I mean, that's pretty powerful. Look, David and Caleb, what is y'all's take on that? Go ahead, David, and then I'm going to get your take, Caleb.
Well, I've loved that clip from Judge Napolitano. I think I heard it a few years ago, and I really respect Judge Napolitano, and I think that he's a great resource, and I'm glad that he's on the news, and I think his legal analysis is second to none. So I really think he lays out a piece of really damaging evidence. If you were to put the FBI on trial and see how their role in all these activities, terrorist plots and everything like that, they really need to be looked at, just like the IRS has been brought before Congress, even though nothing has really happened. I mean, yes, they have found out that Republican organizations, were being scrutinized if they wanted tax-exempt status, that sort of thing. I think that the FBI needs to be, brought forward and asked about their role in these activities.
The FBI and the CIA, they need to be defunded, for sure. Now, Caleb, what's your take on this? And my take is like, look, if we've caught the FBI over and over in these plots, and then we have another plot, that has been carried out, and the FBI was talking with these people, and they had informants in there. I mean, why shouldn't we question that? Should you just go along with what they tell you, Caleb, or should you question a bunch of known liars?
Well, we should obviously question anything we're hearing, especially from the news on TV, as far as that goes. I know that the Intercept had a good report. They were talking about how the FBI had a counterterrorism sting. They were going after this guy named homeless guy with mental problems named James Medina for over a year. It was actually the FBI informant, not the homeless guy, that came up with the idea of crediting a planned attack to the Islamic State. And upon they even have a link to the FBI's affidavit. From what the FBI said, it's clear the FBI's informant encouraged and walked Medina through every aspect of the planned attack, including providing him with what he thought was an explosive device. But like I said, yeah, I mean, there's many cases like that. And then, like at the last moment, you know, the FBI, they'll step back, so then they can obviously come in and make the arrest.
Yeah, come in and bring, you know, they can come be the savior and make us feel all safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, David, we got a couple phone calls, man. I really appreciate, man. Look, call back in, David. Look, let's take Roy's call from Mary on line 1. How you doing, Roy? Welcome to the program.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna give you all a couple facts, and then I got a couple big things to tell you.
Yes, sir.
A lot of this stuff you might know. Obama's half brother, he's with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, absolutely.
Loretta Lynch, Attorney General, she's a Muslim. John Brennan, CIA Director, he converted to Islam.
That's right.
Jay Johnson, Homeland Security, he's a Muslim. Huma Abedin, Hillary's #1 assistant, her family's with the Muslim Brotherhood. John Kerry's daughter is married to a Muslim from Iran. Valerie Jarrett, Chief of Staff, her people are Muslims from Iran. Hillary Clinton, she received millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia.
20% of a campaign.
Exactly. Now, counting the number of mosques and schools in the United States, 3,186 mosques and schools in America. And as you were making your opening monologue, to me, we've already been taken over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, did y'all hear about the Twitter accounts of Black Lives Matter being hacked?
I didn't hear about the Twitter, but I did see some emails on IntelliHub.com right now. They have a great article called Operation Summer of Chaos Exposed. The Obama administration, Soros, Black Lives Matter plan to activate martial law before the general election revealed.
Yeah, well, what they're doing, what caught me off guard, MoveOn.org and Black Lives Matter have booked hundreds and hundreds of rooms in Cleveland to disrupt the Republican convention. But what caught me off guard is they plan on disrupting the Democratic convention too, so martial law will be declared to leave Obama in office. And it goes as high up as Loretta Lynch. Delray McKesson, they got some of his Twitter account. He's actually been communicating with Loretta Lynch. And it's called Summer of Chaos.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Look, they are funding this, Roy. But look, the question I ask is, it's like, you know, the chicken or the egg, which came first? Do we blame these Muslims, or do we blame the government for allowing these people, you know, to commit these acts? And you know, because if you take away the government and these foreign banking interests that have opened up our borders, we wouldn't have this issue.
The government is behind it. Like someone said, it's globalism versus nationalism. And from what I understand, martial law is locked and cocked. It's getting real close.
Yeah.
But it's going to be called continuity of government.
Absolutely.
From what I understand, sir?
Yes, COG, absolutely right.
And what I understand, this is when Obama's going to make his moves on the guns. He's going to issue some type of executive order. Remember Homeland Security, they ordered 2.2 billion rounds of ammo.
Yep.
Now we know who the ammo is for. It's for against the American people.
Well, Roy, in all of their training manuals, they're not training against Muslim terrorists or terrorists, period. They're training against the American people. They're training against, you know, old boy with his John Deere hat on. I mean, if they had the no hesitation targets put out by the DHS, I believe 3 years ago, and they had women and children that were on these targets, and they weren't terrorists. You know, so
you know, 72 members of Homeland Security are on the no-fly list. There's the terrorists working for Homeland Security. They got a 25-year-old woman from Syria who said 9/11 was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have been infiltrated, but by all accounts, before I forget, did you hear latest with Academy Sports, what they did?
Yes, yes. I'm going to have to stop. I guess we can't do business with any of these big box stores anymore, I guess.
Now, you know they're keeping a database. Did you see they're going to keep a database of ammo purchases?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. At Dick's, they have a whole extra registration paperwork that you fill out when you buy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, from Dick's. Don't buy any firearms from them. But look, Ro, we got a loaded phone line. I really appreciate your call, man. God bless. Call back next week. Look, we got the Flaming Liberal on line 2 calling in from Atlanta. How you doing, Flaming Liberal?
I'm doing well, thank you. And a couple of things I'd like to discuss, if I may. Hillary's been attacked by Donald Trump and others like Hannity on Fox News for taking money for the Clinton Foundation from Saudi Arabia. Now, if people want to be critical of that, that's their right. That's fine. They're entitled to their opinion.
What if it was you, would you take that money?
You know, if it's for a good charity, I think I would take it from the devil. But nobody, as far as I know, and I listen to quite a bit of talk radio, and I read a lot of newspapers, but there's never been criticism of the Bush family, who owns a huge amount of stock in the Carlyle Group.
I agree. Look, hold up. I'm totally with you. You know, also the Bin Laden family is involved with Carlyle Group. Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, that's right. Your show. But the Carlyle Group, their best customer is Saudi Arabia.
Sure.
Most of the attackers on 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Now, when Bush was president, and my source is impeccable. It's Jane's Intelligence Review, the Holy Grail, the Rolls Royce of intelligence. Jane's Intelligence Review reported when Bush was president, George W., prior to 9/11, Russian intelligence gave United States intelligence the exact location of Osama bin Laden, who was under criminal indictment by the United States for the mass bombings for the embassies in Africa. George Bush had the right and the authority to kill or capture bin Laden. And this is a quote from Jane's Intelligence Review, which I have in my computer. Bush chose to take no action for political reasons. And when bin Laden was obviously cornered at Tora Bora, Bush let him escape. Now, if that would have been Obama, what would people be saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point, Flaming Liberal. But guess what? So did Clinton. Under the Clinton administration, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, during Able Danger, could have took him out, and they ordered him to stand down. So it's not just all of these administrations are complicit. They've all been whores for Saudi Arabia, every one of them.
Well, Saudi Arabia.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Saudi Arabia, they've funded both Republican and Democrat presidential campaigns, so it's not just Hillary. As far as that goes.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead. You got closing statements, Flaming Liberal. We got a couple more calls.
There was a series of articles done in the Washington Post by an investigative reporter. President Clinton tried several times to kill or capture bin Laden, but unfortunately, none of the efforts were successful. There were submarines stationed, I think, in the Red Sea or the Persian Gulf when bin Laden was located, but he was in an area with a Saudi princess, and they didn't carry out the order to attack. But at least, and it's a long series of articles published in the Washington Post. I'll try to get the name for you if you like, the guy that wrote it. But at least Clinton tried. When Bush was president, as far as I know, he did nothing. And as a matter of fact, the Clinton administration established a network to monitor, a financial network that monitors how terrorists move money around. And when Bush took office, that network monitoring financial transfers by the terrorists was disassembled. And I can tell you something else. I have an article from CNN in my computer. At more than a year after the Oklahoma City bombing, Attorney Janet Reno and President Clinton begged and urged the Republican House of Representatives to give the FBI more authority to combat terrorism, like giving the FBI more permission to do wiretaps, and the House of Representatives, controlled by the Republicans, refused to do it. Now, those two things alone that I just pointed out, maybe, just maybe, could have prevented 9/11.
That's a good point, but we had intelligence on all of these guys that were here. They had intelligence. Matter of fact, I believe 6 of these hijackers had clearances to go and train on our own bases. Okay? So, I mean, they knew. You know, there was a stand down for 9/11 through certain parts of our government, just like there's a stand down on all of these events. Look, Flaming Liberal, great points.
Okay, and look, I thank y'all. We don't agree on a lot, but I thank you for being polite and letting me talk, and I wish you well.
I always let you talk, Flaming Liberal. We get in a little debate sometimes, but God bless. Wish you well. Talk to you next week, man. Look, ladies and gentlemen, listen to Battle New Orleans Radio. We'll be coming right back.
Renovations your way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I had to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source. Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here, 990 AM, WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. Look, we got Phil the Patriot in studio with us. You know, he had some stuff he wanted to say when Flaming Liberal was on, but I jumped in there on my big fat mouth and we ran into the break. So look, Phil, go ahead, man. You had some comments?
Yes, I did. Hey, welcome to Barack Obama's orchestrated and escalating zombie thug apocalypse. You know, Barack Obama, the guy that's the commander-in-chief of the Mexican and Muslim invasion. You know, the same guy that's letting loose all the prisoners in the United States of America and over there in Guantanamo Bay. That guy right there. You know, he's either Satan or he's a servant of Satan. And for sure, he's working with George Soros and MoveOn.org, and they're trying to tear the underpinnings of the United States apart at every level that they possibly can. And if you think you saw something in Orlando, you ain't seen nothing yet. How long before some idiot or crazy nut rolls a shopping cart full of bombs into a Walmart somewhere or a Rouse's or somewhere? Brothers and sisters, we need to help the police as much as humanly possible. You need to be the eyes and the ears for the Orleans and Jefferson Parish Police, and for that matter, across the whole United States of America. These people are deadly evil. Their evil knows no bounds. Remember Planned Parenthood? That's scammed parenthood. Remember how they start to take over the schools, Operation, take over the kids, Communist Corps? And how about Operation Executive Disorder? And if you think that's bad, you just wait till this guy waits for the next emergency they create to issue an executive order to come take your guns out of your house and then maybe your children. Sooner or later, you're going to have to wake up, brothers and sisters. So wake up, stand up, rise up and wise up. Put on the mind of Jesus Christ and the full armor of the Lord. Get out there in the battlefield. Rescue the innocent. Defend the helpless. You know, turn away from your sins, and God will help us heal our land. So wake up.
Ah! Yeah, thanks, Phil. We appreciate that. You know, look, I pulled up the article right here, Caleb. It's on InfoWars. You know, Orlando shooter did not use an AR-15 rifle despite false media reports. He used a Sig Sauer. You know, that's just crazy. And if you look, when I read this morning, you know, I of course I believed it, but I got infuriated because, you know, if you just went and read all of the mainstream media articles that they had put out, you know, demonizing AR-15s particularly. You know, so what's your take on that, Caleb? Did you read that article? Or?
Yeah, I forget the original source that actually reported that. I think bearingarms.com or something like that. Yes. I know that, to tell you the truth, I can't really comment too much about that because I haven't actually shot a gun in years, so I have to pass on that.
I got you, but you know that just goes to show though the more the lies, you know, the more lies from the mainstream media. Look, we have another phone call. Let's take John on line 4. How you doing, John? John from Texas. Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Let me tell you something. I'm glad to be here. Glad to listen to you, Nathan.
Appreciate it.
I got to straighten that Willie Waugh that you had on earlier. Man, Janet Reno, don't y'all remember how many people she killed? I say he. I don't know what the heck she is.
She might be transgender.
Yeah, it could be.
She looks
might have been the first one. Anyway, she killed 90 people over here in Waco, Texas. Ain't a damn thing ever been done to her for that. Oh, the buck stopped there. You want to take her word there, Mr. Flaming Liberal? Go ahead. More power to you. But I want to tell you something else, Nathan.
Go ahead.
Guyana.
Guyana?
Y'all remember Guyana?
Jamestown?
Y'all remember Jimmy Jones, Jonestown?
Jonestown? I said Jamestown.
Yes,
Jonestown.
sir. I was down there before that happened.
Well, hold up. Before you get into that, I want to bring up a point. Everybody needs to realize our CIA funded Jones with the likes of $13 million to relocate from California to Guyana. So that's another example of government involvement in mass killings. Now go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Before that happened, Guyana got their independence from Britain in I think it was 1963-64. The Indians who were from India, they were indentured servants.
Hold up, John. Before you get in it, we got a break. Just hold this after the break. We're going to hold you over and let you tell this story. This is very important for the context of history. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here at 990 AM WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. Please support us. Please go check out our YouTube page that Caleb hit. You know, uploads the videos to every week. We definitely thank him for that, you know, because we get to reach a global audience that way. So look, go check out our YouTube page at Battle Nola Radio on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to Battle New Orleans Radio. We'll be right back.
Here, I know it wouldn't happen here. I will not submit to authority of man. I'm alive, I'm awake. This is more than I can take. If you had an open door, would you kill a little more?
Bon appetit, I'm Cynthia Clark, your food reporter and host of The Cuisine Report. The Cuisine Report is the new daily voice on WGSO, Monday to Friday from 1 to 3.
Jiggers Bar and Grill at 1645 Vets near Bonneville has plenty of convenient parking and is a great place for lunch. Sandwiches, burgers, wraps, salads, quesadillas, all delicious. There's a big screen TV to watch the sporting events, and happy hour lasts from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Great dinner specials under $11, and if you have late night munchies, Jiggers is a place to go. You can dine in or order at 828-3555. See you soon at Jiggers.
Hello, race fans. This is Richard Long, host of Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports. Join us Friday evenings from 7 to 9 here on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com.
You face many questions and uncertainties in life. This is Ralph Leopold. Join me for Your Money, Your Life.
Tuesdays at 5 on WGSO 990 AM.
And we can talk about it.
This advertisement does not constitute an offer to sell a franchise. The offer of a franchise can only be made through the delivery of a franchise disclosure document.
Fresh Healthy Vending is a new company that is revolutionizing the vending machine business by filling them with healthy and natural foods. That's right. Protein and energy drinks, teas and juices, yogurts, fresh fruits and veggies, soy milk, natural cereals, granola bars. Can you imagine that? It's like having a whole food store in a machine. And you can get in on the ground floor by getting your own Fresh Healthy Vending franchise. You can have your own small business placing healthy food vending machines all over your area in places like schools and hospitals and businesses and airports and other high traffic areas. Locations that embrace the idea because, they make money too. Full training and support and assistance in acquiring locations. It's all about timing, folks. Pick up the phone, make the call to Fresh Healthy Vending, and get all the details on what could be your big life moment. Get Fresh Healthy Vending franchise information now. Call 800-424-8282. 424-8282. That's 800-424-8282.
WGSO 990 AM, New Orleans, Louisiana. 60 years of speaking easy, New Orleans style.
Horrific event near Disney World ends.
Members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office dive team located what is believed to be the remains of a 2-year-old.
Orange County, Florida Sheriff Jerry Deming saying the body's been identified as that of Lane Graves of Elkhorn, Nebraska, the little toddler boy who was dragged by an alligator into the waters last night.
His body was completely intact.
Deming's describing the family of the boy as distraught but somewhat relieved that the body has been found.
Recent economic indicators have been mixed.
And in part because of that, the head of the Federal Reserve says,
Today, the Federal Open Market Committee maintained the target range for the federal funds rate.
Chair Janet Yellen speaks after a 2-day policy meeting ends. This is USA Radio News.
In the best of times, things are pretty easy. But when things go wrong, are you prepared for your family? Hi, this is Rusty Humphreys. Let me tell you about my good friends at Numana. Numana is a company that makes the best storable foods available anywhere in the world. It's easy to prepare. It's long-term food storage that has organic superfoods that are superior products to help your family thrive in any situation. These hearty foods are made with only the best, healthy, natural ingredients. And let me tell you, my friends at Numana, they avoid the chemicals and the processes that have been found to make people sick. You don't want that. There's no aspartame, no high fructose corn syrup, no added MSG, no chemical preservatives, no soy. Just the best foods to be available in the worst of times. You can find it all on the website, usaradiofood.com. usaradiofood.com. Find out more at usaradiofood.com.
An Orlando TV station says the nightclub gunman Omar Mateen called the station early Sunday to claim responsibility for the shooting massacre that killed 49 people. He also pledged allegiance to ISIS, they say. Meanwhile, after the attack in Orlando, Donald Trump tweets something unexpected, as we hear from USA's Tammy Rose.
The Republican presidential nominee wants to discuss banning gun sales for people on the terror watch and no-fly lists. His tweet suggested a major break in stance with the rest of his party over guns. The NRA has endorsed Trump. Trump has previously said during his campaign that he's opposed to any further restrictions on gun rights in the wake of recent mass shootings. For USA Radio News, I'm Tammy Rose.
There are reports search teams have located the wreckage of missing Egypt Air Flight 804 that had 66 people aboard when it was flying from Paris to Cairo last month and went down in the Mediterranean Sea. This is USA Radio News.
driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The heat is really...
Hello, this is Coach Alan DeRitter, your host for Monday Night Football, your voice for youth soccer, 5 years running now. You want to get your business connected with the most popular sport in the world? We have an active listenership from Shreveport to New Orleans and from Baton Rouge to Lake Charles. Contact me at 504-577-3131 if you're interested. There are primetime commercials available, and of course, you'll be on the air with our show. That's 504-577-3131. God bless you and your family.
Overnight tonight, we got some isolated showers along the coast. Some heat coming back tomorrow and the next several days, and then by Saturday, a weak front will produce some strong storms potentially. Then we'll dry out with a little less humid conditions, but still hot for Sunday. 20% overnight, 30% tomorrow, low to mid-90s. Low to mid-90s, 30% on Friday. By Saturday, 50% if not higher with a few strong storms by then. Then a bit lower on the humidity, but it's still hot Sunday. Is your company in the oil field or marine industry? And are you thinking about liquidating it? Henderson Auctions would love to discuss their flexible auction terms for the marine auction coming up in Houma, September 29th. Call now, 1-800-850-2252 for the marine auction coming up in Houma, September 29th. Call 1-800-850-2252. Flexible auction terms. HendersonAuctions.com. Auctioneer M. Henderson, Louisiana license number 136-16. Ralph Sanji, WGSO.
It's the Battle of New Orleans! Radio, radio! Bringing truth to your eardrums! Here we go, here we go! It's the Battle of New Orleans! Radio, radio! Bringing truth to your eardrums! Here we go, here we go! The last line of defense, bringing truth to the front. Now it's time to begin. As we ride to the end, don't try to pretend that you
Ladies and
don't
gentlemen,
wanna
we're back.
know all
You're
the
listening
lies
to
we
Battle of
make.
New Orleans Radio right here on 990 AM WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. Boy, we was having some interesting debate, on the break there. But I want to bring John back on so he can tell him. Also, I want to bring Goyim. I want to cue you up, man. Goyim, are you there? Hey, Goyim, are you there?
Hello?
Oh, who's this, Joseph?
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, hang on, Joseph. Let me go back to John. Let him tell his story, and I'm gonna bring you on. I apologize.
I think John.
John hung up. I'm sorry. Okay, Joseph. Joseph from Metro on line too, man. With a little technical difficulty. How you doing, Joseph? Go ahead.
All right. I wanted to know. I wasn't listening early, so I wanted to ask the question. Have you talked about what the Senate did last night, passing legislation that permits the drafting of women when the military draft is brought back?
No, we haven't.
Well, it's not permitting the drafting of women. The women have to register for the draft. That's what it really is. They have to register for the draft. So let's say you have a daughter or a granddaughter that's 18 years old. I guess they're going to be notified by the government sometime this year, I guess in the mail, that you're going to now have to go down to, what is it, the post office?
Yeah, right, post office.
And you will have to register. Now, that's a signal to me. I think that, well, first of all, I think the House of Representatives is going to have to vote to go along with this if it becomes law. Is that the next step?
Yes, pretty sure.
Well, if that's the next step, and let's say it becomes law, meaning mandatory federal law, I call it now United States of America Incorporated law, because we're not really a country. We're just a business conglomerate of the world's central bankers. That's all we are. That's really what America has become.
Absolutely.
We're not an independent country or nation anymore. That's
Hey, Joseph, isn't globalism grand?
yeah, it really is. But what I wanted to say is that it's logical to assume that if you start to read the signals, and you realize you have the military draft coming back.
Sure.
And the idea of women being drafted and stuck into a unisex barracks, and they're going to have to, I don't know if they're going to be showering with guys, naked after a military day of exercise, but there's all sorts of things that are coming up, and it's pretty obvious that America's not really prepared for the shock of the idea that women now are going to be put on the front line in a battle situation when they are captured. People have gone over have gone back to what happened to Jessica Lynch. That was that West Virginia National Guardsman. I think she was captured by Iraqi soldiers and sodomized, raped and sodomized. Well, what was that? 2000. That was when. That's the aftermath. That's the second war we had with Iraq, wasn't that? The invasion of Iraq.
Yeah, that was. It was about 12 years ago or so.
12 years ago.
Roughly, I don't know. I'm guessing.
Well, first there was the 1990 trick we did on Saddam Hussein, getting him to invade Kuwait.
Yeah, and I want to say something to that. You know, Saddam Hussein was a CIA asset. We put him in power, and he was a good little boy. He followed orders, and what did? We killed him.
I wouldn't doubt that. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Madeleine Albright, she's that Jewish lady that was the the Secretary of State.
Yes.
I believe that this is all during the administration of George Herbert Walker Bush, right?
Right.
Well, she gave him the signal, told him after he complained about Kuwait doing slant drilling into Iraq, she said that we don't care what you Arabs do with one another, and if y'all want to have a war, that's your business. Well, that was really a lie. She set him up to later be invaded, to go to war with the United States and affiliate countries. And basically, he was on the road at that point, on the road to decline in terms of his military being worn down because we went to war with him. But it's hard for me to believe that he trusted the United States,
right?
Not to betray their word, but we set him up.
Yeah.
We set him up just in real mafia fashion. We set him up.
I use that analogy all the time. You know, just like the mafia. You know,
but think about this. This is the irony of it. Saddam Hussein's favorite movie was The Godfather. that came out.
That's pretty ironic. Look, Joseph, you made some great points as always, man. Appreciate your information, man, as always. Look, let's get back to John on line 3 so he can tell his story about Guyana. But real quick, hey Goyim, are you on the line as well?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Okay, all right. I want you to chime in as well. Go ahead, John. Tell us about what happened with the CIA in Guyana and that whole fiasco.
Well, the CIA helped put the African leader in power. They had, after the election, now the Indians were 61% population. The blacks was less than 30%, and the rest were made up of some different origins.
Probably transgender.
Oh no, they were. A lot of them were from Bali and places like that.
Probably Iranian transgenders.
The Indians were in power for 6 years. They had another election. The CIA had this guy in New Orleans called John Forbes Burnham. They told him, said, "Look, just stay put. We're gonna run you as the president." Gave him 30 acres of sugar cane down in Guyana and said, "Just wait your turn. Hang on." just like they're doing to Miss Hillary. When the election came up, lo and behold, he wins.
Imagine
6 months later, there were some shrimpers that were shrimping in the Atlantic Ocean. I was down there at that time. They pulled up.
You was in Guyana?
I was in Guyana, yes, sir.
Okay.
They pulled up these election boxes. Now, this was just a trial run.
What was in the election boxes?
These were all from the Indian precincts.
Okay.
There was, I think it was 15 of them. Now, each election box had over 800 ballots in each one. But they were all from the Indians. Now, these are the Indians.
Okay, I got you.
So
they had some gas stations down there.
Yeah, motels and that. Anyway, they lost the election through crooked crap. Just the same way as we're going to lose the election here in this country due to crooked crap.
Absolutely, and I want to bring up the company Smartmatic, who is the Venezuelan company that has George Soros ties, that is a major vote counter here in the United States. And they've just had a Filipino election where Smartmatic was used, and there was massive voter fraud with these machines.
Now, let's fast forward to Jim Jones.
Okay.
John Forbes Burnham was now trying to get, because he's black and he's got a bigger population of Indians. His motto: one race, one color, one people. He wanted
like the UN.
He wanted to have the Indian girls mated up with the black boys, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. I had 3 different individuals contact me to ask me if I would take their daughters, bring their daughters back to the States with me when I left. Man, put me in a place, I'm telling you. Anyway, they were coming in physically, pulling these girls, anywhere from 15 to 20, pulling them out of the houses of the Indians and mating them up, giving them 5 acres, cutting out 5 acres out of the jungle and saying, here, build you a cabin, build you a house, whatever you want to do. Y'all are married, go forth and produce.
Right.
This is on record.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening, so Jimmy Jones was contacted. The CIA gave him $13 million to go down there and start a Jonestown with both blacks and whites, interracial community.
What it was, almost 900 people that were killed, Jones?
Yes, sir. It was 900 people. Now, when I went through customs, they went through everything. My toothbrush, I'm one of those toothless people you advertise about. They went through everything. Let me tell you, you ain't getting no damn weapons in there unless you're connected.
Right.
Follow me?
Right.
So Jones had weapons.
Right.
So
He had a small army too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it wasn't until Ryan's niece was really getting sick of what was taking place. There was a lot of rapes.
That was a senator, right?
Yes. Oh, he was a representative.
Representative,
I believe. Anyway, when he come down there to get see about his niece, that's when all hell broke loose.
Right.
And the story was they did not want the CIA's name come out on this. About 3 months later, after everything had died down, in the Times-Picayune, 3rd section, 2nd page, halfway down or better, there's a little article about the second in command of Jonestown. He was back in Frisco when all this took place. The second in command was. He was trying to sue the CIA to get his $13 million back. Well, it wasn't his; it was the CIA. It was yours and mine.
Right.
We were doing that. But that's just what happens. That's where they practice this crap in other areas, then bring it home. Say this is how it works.
Right. Look, we're going to a break. Those are great points, John. Look, we got a couple more calls, man. Really appreciate the information, man. That's powerful stuff. Look, our government has been involved at every level throughout history. You know, the biggest killer in the 20th century is death by government, democide. Killed 262 million people, according to University of Hawaii's own statistics. When we come back, we got Goyim on line one. He'll be on with us, and we have James. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to About New Orleans. We'll be right back.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNow.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I had to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here in the heart of the Crescent City on 990 AM WGSO. Man, it's really been hard for me to keep up. I haven't really had the time like I would have liked to, really research, even more. They're hitting us from all sides. Hey, Goyim, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Man, how you doing tonight, Goyim? I want to keep you on air, and we'll bring in this next caller, bro, and so we can both interact.
Go ahead.
Man, what's your? We got. All right, we'll go ahead and take this call. We got James on line 4. How you doing, James? Welcome to the program. Appreciate the call.
Hey, gentlemen. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Is Phil the phony Patriot still up there?
Hey, you the phony, brother. You are phony. You know what? You're working for George Soros. You're a liar. You're running radio propaganda terrorism. You and the blaming Fibro must have had a bad night at Chippendales last night. You must have not scored any fresh meat.
Yeah, let me ask you something. I've asked you several times. You're 63 years old. You're of Vietnam-era age. Why Why did you not serve?
How do you know I did or didn't? And why should I tell you? You're a big phony.
Because you're a phony patriot.
No, you're the phony patriot. You're a liar. You're a bait and switch liar. You're working for George Soros. You're working for Satan.
Yeah, working for Soros. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, you sure are. You working for MoveOn.org. You and your buddies have been running radio propaganda and terrorism for many years.
You work for Domino's, right, pal?
Yeah, listen. As far as I'm concerned, it's none of your business who I work for. I could work for somebody else. I could work for this person, that person. I have several jobs, brother.
George Soros told me you work for Domino's. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Why didn't you serve in the military? Were you mentally?
How do you know I didn't? And how do you know I did?
Were you mentally unfit, physically?
Oh, hey, wait a minute. The question is, are you mentally unfit?
Morally unfit? Do you have a
you are mentally and morally unfit. I have no criminal record.
Do you have a criminal record? No.
I have no criminal record.
Okay.
And I don't smoke marijuana like y'all keep trying to say. What, y'all smoke the pot? Because y'all are the bait and switch terrorists. You say something about other people that you actually do yourself.
Why did you not serve in the U.S. military?
Well, why did you not serve in the military?
I have, pal. Let me tell you.
I have too. I've served my country for many years. Have you? I'm not serving my country on a plate to George Soros and Satan.
What branch were you in?
What branch are you in?
No, I'm asking the questions here. What branch were you in?
I'm in the Patriot branch.
Oh, yeah, you're not a patriot. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, well, you're not a patriot.
When David Duke was a guest on the show, you called in and you said, "Hey, David, it's Philip, David. You remember me?
Oh, you people with your David Duke stuff. You demonize everybody.
Right? No.
You're the demon. You're the demon, and you're the servant of Soros. You demonize everybody.
You were a big David Duke supporter, weren't you, when he ran for governor, right?
You are a bait and switch terrorist. You try to pay people into a corner, and you're a big liar. You're a phony. You're jobbing, conniving James.
You and your brother and other members of your family were big David Duke supporters, right?
You don't know anything, man. You're a bait and switch liar.
I've heard a lot about you, pal.
I've heard a whole lot about you too.
All right, look.
Yeah, right. Why are you? Hey, David, remember me? Huh?
All right.
I met David Duke. I also met Edwin Edwards too.
Ah, you met David Duke.
I met David Duke and I met Edwin Edwards too. I met a lot of people in my life.
All right, look.
I met Patrick Buchanan.
Look, fellas. Look. Let's keep it to some real issues here. It's not just. Go ahead, James. You got.
I just want to expose this guy as a phony patriot. Okay?
You need to be exposed.
That's all.
More exposed than what you already are.
No, okay, all right.
In fact, you expose yourself every time you speak.
Yeah, we know what you are. Okay, you're a phony patriot. Now,
that's what you are.
My question to you, Nathan, is
yes,
this.
Sir.
All right. This guy, this killer, this ISIS sympathizer killer.
Yes, sir.
Down in Orlando.
Yep.
Okay. 12 days before he killed 49 people, wounded 43 others.
Yes, sir.
He went into a gun shop and purchased this battlefield weapon. It's not an AR, as you said. It's some kind of.
It's a Sig Sauer. It's a Sig Sauer carbine.
Okay, Sig Sauer, right?
Yes, sir.
Now it has a hinge on the weapon where the stock folds back onto the barrel. Correct?
I mean, I don't know exactly what that particular.
It has a folding
folding stock. Okay.
Okay. Now it's very easy to conceal.
Sure.
Now he probably put it into a backpack. With probably 1,000. You said 1,000 rounds.
It was over 1,000 rounds. Right. I've heard anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 rounds.
Okay, now how do you feel about a guy who was on the watch list, the terrorist watch list? He was on some kind of investigation list by the FBI. Now, do you think? There's been a lot of reaction to this. Okay, how can a guy like that who could buy a airplane ticket and fly? Okay. But I'm sorry, my bad. He could not fly. He could not take a flight on a domestic airline, but he could buy a damn military weapon. Is there something wrong with this picture?
I totally agree. He should not have been allowed to buy the weapon. Because I want to address that when we come back, James. Stay on the line. We're coming to a break, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to Battle New Orleans Radio. We'll be right back.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Here on the Battle of New Orleans Radio, we understand some of our listeners may not have teeth. But guess what? For the listeners that do have teeth, you need to go visit our friend, Dr. Sammy Tom with Uptown Dental. He's located at 8131 St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana, and you can visit him on the web at uptowndentalnola.com, or please call him up to set up your appointment at 504-304-6800. That's 504-304-6800. uptowndentalnola.com.
This advertisement does not constitute an offer to sell a franchise. The offer of a franchise can only be made through the delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Fresh Healthy Vending is a new company that is revolutionizing the vending machine business by filling them with healthy and natural foods. That's right. Protein and energy drinks, teas and juices, yogurts, fresh fruits and veggies, soy milk, natural cereals, granola bars. Can you imagine that? It's like having a whole food store in a machine. And you can get in on the ground floor by getting your own Fresh Healthy Vending franchise. You can have your own small business placing healthy food vending machines all over your area in places like schools and hospitals and businesses and airports and other high traffic areas. Locations that embrace the idea because, they make money too. Full training and support and assistance in acquiring locations. It's all about timing, folks. Pick up the phone, make the call to Fresh Healthy Vending, and get all the details on what could be your big life moment. Get Fresh Healthy Vending franchise information now. Call 800-424-8282. 424-8282. That's 800-424-8282.
This is the Louisiana Radio Network Legislative Report. I'm Halen Doty. Governor John Bel Edwards has signed the Real ID Act into law, bringing Louisiana into compliance with the 2005 federal ruling that created national identification standards in the wake of 9/11. Edwards says these IDs will be required for air travel, even domestic, in the near future.
By 2020, every air traveler will need identification that complies with the Real ID standards in order to get on an airplane.
Opponents say the federal law is government overreach and raise concerns about sharing information with a national database. Edwards says getting a Real ID is not mandatory.
Those individuals in Louisiana who still have an objection to Real ID need not get a Real ID compliant card if they don't want to. That will be their option.
The Office of Motor Vehicles anticipates it will begin issuing Real ID licenses in the fall of this year, and they will not cost any more than a regular driver's license. Louisiana Radio Network.
Paid for by the Louisiana Manufacturers PAC, Greg Bowser, Administrator. Closed for business. Is that the reputation Louisiana wants? Billions of new taxes have been put on employers and more are being considered. These taxes on business will dry up investment and kill Louisiana jobs. We need to grow the economy, not shrink it. Create jobs, not kill them. Send a strong message to the governor and the legislature. No more business taxes. Enough is enough.
Real people, steel people. From heroes like fire rescue teams to homeowners like you, people trust steel for power, service, and value. This season, dependable steel trimmers start at just $129.95. And when the job's done, clear your walkways with a hard-working steel blower, now starting at just $139.95. Real people, steel people. Find your real steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. All prices MSRP at participating dealers while supplies
This is
last.
Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. In the aftermath of the worst terror attack since 9/11, President Barack Obama did not show bipartisanship, leadership, or even class. He refused to call the governor of Florida, probably because he's a Republican. He displayed anger toward Donald Trump as opposed to radical Islam. He refuses to label the enemy appropriately, using the innocuous term extremism. He continues to use every tragedy such as this as an opportunity to call for more gun control. He has denounced Trump's call for a ban on Muslim immigration until we can get a handle on the terror threat. And with 10,000 new tips coming into the FBI, we don't have a handle on the terror threat. And obviously, as was displayed in the last incident, we have agencies that aren't talking to each other. So the blame falls on the Obama administration. The anger here should be reserved for the American people. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Hello, race fans. This is Richard Long, host of Race Talk with Big Easy Motorsports. Join us Friday evenings from 7 to 9 here on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com.
Hello, this is David Jeremiah. Join me each weekday morning at 5:30 or 6:30 for Turning Point here on Talk Radio 990 AM.
Maybe your portfolio should resemble your dinner. Slowly cultivated, locally produced, and most importantly, sustainable. Learn from our insights on investing in the market for longevity as we explore the investment landscape together.
Our goal is to make you smarter with your money. Join us,
Jean-Paul Lagarde,
and David Solomon for the Slow Money Show, Mondays from 5 to 6 p.m. on WGSO AM 990.
Tim McNally here. The Dine, Wine, and Spirit Show is daily, 3 to 5, discussing wines and restaurants and spirits right here at WGSO.
We wouldn't get our hair mussed, but I do say no more than 10 to 20 million killed, top.
We got the popular brainwash all in the state of shock. We got the military industrial complex moves wide over the block.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here, 990 AM, WGSO in the heart of the Crescent City. Real quick, James, make your point. We have a couple more callers.
Okay, well, just one. I want to clarify something real
Yes,
quick here. Philip claimed he was in the United States military. Philip, you are a liar.
We're not. Look, we don't have time to get into
Okay,
all of that.
All right,
Go ahead, make your point.
Let's talk about, again, how is it possible in our wonderful country that a person who was being investigated by the FBI for possible terrorist connections, and it was on some no-fly list, how is it possible that a person like that, who cannot fly, from the United States or any, as a point of origin, how can a person like this, how can we justify a guy like that walking into a gun shop and within a half hour or so purchase a weapon,
that's easy.
Semi-automatic weapon that is used on the battlefields.
James, because the only explanation is they want these people to commit these crimes. It's Hegelian dialectic at its finest.
Are you claiming that the government wants this in order to create chaos and instability?
Absolutely. Hell yes.
Wait a minute. What evidence do you have for that?
What evidence? Because our government has plotted on things like this the last 100 years. You go back to Operation Gladio in the 60s and 70s in Europe, where they were bombings and killings and shootings. Our government, along with NATO, ran these programs. I mean, we have been just because.
Well, but you don't have any. You just have your projections of what you think might be. You don't have any evidence that this.
Okay.
Hey, James.
Go ahead, Caleb.
There are plenty of cases we've already referenced earlier in the show about the FBI setting people up to commit acts of terrorism, which the FBI completely planned themselves, and then they found a mentally ill person to act as their patsy.
Did somebody?
All you have to do is go look them up.
Are you claiming somebody paid this guy to do this?
He doesn't have to. Look, check this out. Let me break it down. Let me see if I can be real clear here. If elements of our government open our borders, then they radicalize these Muslims overseas. Then they bring these Muslims over here because they know they're not going to assimilate, and they know there's going to be radicalization going on, and then they sit on their hands. That's the same thing as them paying them. There's no difference because they know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. They watch these people. The FBI monitors anything we do. Why the hell they can't stop these people? Because they can.
Okay. When you say the government, do you think Barack Obama knows about this?
It doesn't have to go. It doesn't even have to be Barack Obama. It could be people on the Council on Foreign Relations who runs the State Department. It could be a number of entities. It doesn't even matter. You know, Barack Obama's a puppet. Barack Obama is nobody on the global grand scheme of things compared to, some of these people like Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger and so on and so forth. I mean, these are types of the people that are making policies, not these presidents.
I'm sorry, man. I just don't see all this behind the scenes going on.
Hillary Clinton said she answered to the Council on Foreign Relations, said she got her marching orders from a private roundtable organization.
In Nathan, we have, and I'll close with this. We have enough real problems to deal with, to contend with. We have a natural world.
You have to know what the root of the problem is, James.
Yeah, we're fighting. All we're doing is pretending like modern medicine. We're fighting the symptom. We're not getting to the root core. They want chaos on the streets. They want destabilization. I've been saying it for years that the Muslims are the global destabilization force for the globalists.
Who wants it? The Council of Foreign Relations, the Illuminati? Who's behind all this stuff?
The globalists. It's order out of chaos. It's globalism. That's what this is. It's all about killing the nation states. It's all look.
Our government is just a mirage. Barack Obama and the executive branch, the legislative branch. It's all just a.
They are run by corporate interests. Corporate interests runs our government, not our government.
But what?
So in my line, corporate interests do not run our government.
Okay, I mean, but for the Congress and for the executive,
they're ran by corporations. They're ran by Saudi Arabia. They're ran by Israel. They're ran by all of these various lobbies. That's who controls our Congress.
Okay.
They are told who.
Okay, Nathan, thank you for having me on. I know there's other people behind me. I just want to say this: the poll I think just released today. Donald Trump has an unfavorability rating of 70%. 70%. If he keeps that up, there is no way in hell he will be elected president.
He's probably not going to be elected anyway because there's going to be massive voter fraud that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It happens in many of these elections now. James, we appreciate your call.
Okay,
please call. Look, we got. Hey, James, are you still there?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, look, we got your best friend David Duke coming on next week. So look.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll well, a lot of times I'm doing stuff Wednesday night, but I will. I'll put that on the calendar. And,
all right.
I'll be here. You'll be here fair and square.
Have a blessed night. Thank you.
Thanks,
Look. Goyim on line one. Goyim, go ahead.
Yeah, James, if you're still listening, since Phil the Patriot's in the studio sitting in for me as I'm stuck at work. Phil, we appreciate it. Like Nathan said, for you, for James, and any other listeners, we're probably going to get Dr. David Duke on the show next week taking calls.
And Payday Monsanto.
And Payday Monsanto as well, anti-New World Order rapper who we've had on the show before, taking your calls. And James, you're welcome to call up, obviously, in a respectful way. To Phil, again, thank you for stepping in. Also, thank you, and to Richie out there for showing up Sunday with us as we cleaned the monuments. We cleaned up the trash over there, picked up cigarette butts, trash, cleaned the graffiti off the base of the monument. And we got together and we actually organized for once. It was pretty cool. But as far as I'm concerned, that's what qualifies him as a patriot. Somebody who's willing to stand up and not cuck out to everything, be willing to stand up and put himself in harm's way, which there was no harm's way. I know leading up to it, everybody was worried about our well-being or like, oh, are y'all going to be safe out there if we come out there? What's the protocol? We came out there, no weapons on us, nothing like that. We're not, we're not looking to have any confrontation. We're just trying to do a good deed. And I just got to say for all the listeners, Phil was there with bells on helping us out. But like Nathan was saying to James, the ends justify the means are ordered by chaos. Obama obviously has been looking up to Solinsky and his rules for radicals for years. You talk about the civil unrest that's coming into place. And, of course, I've been saying it for weeks, like Nathan said. Seems like there's always a mass shooting, Phil, Caleb, and Nathan, when the NBA Finals ends. And I'll be honest with you, we've had the Orlando shooting, but we had a little shooting incident in Delaware. They had a shooting in Amarillo yesterday.
Well, they stopped it. But then there was one in West Virginia.
Exactly. The guy takes a hostage. He's shot dead. It's like, the timing of this, I tie it in the sports calendar because the Lemmings are not distracted. Once the NBA Finals ends, there's no sports, there's no football, there's no basketball now. And so it's easy to digest this propaganda, and if they don't want to digest it, they insert it like a suppository, and that's, go ahead, Nathan, what were you going to say?
I want to bring on because Caleb's got something he wants to talk about. I want to stay on the line going, but I want to bring Brian on with us. Brian on line too. How you doing, Brian?
Nate, good evening to you and all your staff.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I want to thank you, gentlemen. And the root word of gentleman is gentlemen. And this is what you guys are. A gentleman does not wait for marching orders. Do they wait for a commission to show them what to do? They look at a problem, they size it up, and they go ahead and they take care of it. They don't look for fanfare. They don't look for pat on the back. They look at what needs to be done, and they accomplish a task, and that's what you gentlemen did.
Thank
I'm
you.
very proud of y'all. I'm
Appreciate
very
it. Thank
proud
you.
of everyone that was involved.
Yep. And listen, one thing, Brian, you know, us promoting that on Jeff Carrera's show so much, we just wanted to match the faces with the names. I finally got to meet Phil the Patriot, finally got to meet Richie. You know, we went and got some beers afterwards. It was really cool, you know, and it was actually kind of almost like a brotherhood thing since only guys
That's
showed up.
important.
But, of course, women were
That's
welcome.
very
But go ahead,
important.
Brian.
That's very important to do that. Camaraderie is a thing that is in short supply these days. On Jay
Right.
Sekulow today, if you check it out, he came across verified information. Jay Sekulow just don't put things out. That Disney has a very, very intricate security system. They found that this man and woman was staking out Disney World, or Disneyland, whichever it is in Orlando, and they got and kept all the information. They put it all together, and they turned it over to the FBI. And this is some time ago. This isn't something that was done recently. They had been scoping out Disney for a long time. After they gave all the information to the FBI, and Disney never heard back, Disney called the security systems, and Disney was told that the case was closed.
What?
So they knew what they were doing, and the FBI just closed the file.
Well, and this is what I'm talking about, Brian, is that it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter if Barack Obama, you know, rained down and gave the order himself, you know, for Mateen to go in that nightclub. That doesn't matter. But if they open our doors and then they bring in this problem and then they sit on their hands while they watch the problem, you know, unleash fury, then the FBI, the Obama administration, the Department of Justice, they are guilty. What's your take on that, Brian?
They are as complicit as those who perpetrated the crime. And when this breaks loose in the United States of America, when it gets out of control completely, because they're going to lose control of this. Once whatever word you want to use, criminal, jihadists, once these bad guys, real bad guys and women, start going into the theaters and blowing themselves up like they did in what they tried to do in Russia in that theater. Remember some years ago?
Yes, sir.
There will be no control. And if the Democrats do have their way and they are elected and put control enforced to where you can't even buy ammunition, this is going to be a hell of a situation for this country. You're going to see a civil war like nobody wanted, except the government of the United States. Nate, God bless, and y'all drive safely going home.
Man, God bless, Brian. We surely appreciate it. Look, Goyim, look, I'm reading on IntelliHub right now, you know, that Operation Summer of Chaos exposed the Obama administration, Soros, Black Lives Matter plan to activate martial law before general election revealed. And it talks about, you know, the leaked Twitter messages from D. Ray McKesson of Black Lives Matter. And you know, there's claims in here that it goes all the way up to Loretta Lynch. So, I mean, look, you know, there's evidence, and we know Black Lives Matter is funded by Soros and these other groups. So it doesn't matter if Obama's pulling the trigger or not. The people that run Obama are paying to have the trigger pulled. You know, that's what people need to understand. I mean, is that simple enough, Goyim? Is that simple enough, Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty simple. Black Lives Matter intercepted a transgender gay rights rally because of the Orlando shooting. I mean, Soros is keeping us so confused and disorganized and blitzing us that he's got us so confused with intercepting his own with one another. So it's a blitz.
Hold up, Goyim. We're coming to a break. Look, when we come back, Caleb Hitt's got a report he wants to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to Battle New Orleans Radio. We'll be right back.
Enjoy fresh fruit grown in your yard. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com delivers and installs fruit trees and fruiting vines to your home or condo. Proudly serving Kenner, Metairie, and New Orleans. Apples, apricots, blackberries, citrus, figs, grapes, peaches, pears, persimmons, plums, and raspberries. All the trees and fruiting vines are grown right here in South Louisiana. Check out the Fruit Tree Guide for more information and visit JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com today. It's a great time to plant. JohnnyAppleseedTrees.com.
Renovations Your Way. They renovate to fit your needs with complete customer service from start to finish that goes way beyond the job. With over 20 years experience, and they are fully insured, and they support the Battle of New Orleans Radio to unite the metro area in the fight for liberty.
Visit us on the web at renovationsyourway.com or call me, Daniel, at 985-402-5916. That's 985-402-5916. renovationsyourway.com. Mention you heard about us on Battle of New Orleans Radio and receive a 10% discount.
As the corporate media dies, MetroNail.com and TheDailyResistance.com continue to give you a decentralized and independent take on the latest current events as well as historical reference to help you wade through the propaganda of the prostitute media. Our mission is to inform the people of New Orleans about the issues of freedom, health, world events, and much more so that we as a community can thrive in the 21st century. Only with an informed public will we truly be free and independent. So take a look at MetroNow.com or TheDailyResistance.com as your independent news source.
Whether you're in the real estate market to buy, sell, lease, or looking for someone just to manage your properties, look no further than Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties. She has 34 years experience and is an expert of all of the latest programs available to homeowners. She has been my trusted realtor for years now. So please call Paula Bourne with Plantation Properties at 504-858-9293. That's 504-858-9293. Does your house have a clogged up toilet, faulty electrical wires, or AC or heater just isn't blowing properly? Well, call Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. Also specializes in new construction and covers the whole New Orleans metro area. So please, call our friend Herman with Superior AC, Electrical, and Plumbing at 985-781-0418. That's 985-781-0418. Ooh-wee. Hey, David, that smell good. What you eating on?
Man, I'm eating on some shrimp I got from J&N Big Easy Seafood.
Man, I had to get me some of that.
Yeah, bro, they specialize in the delivery, catering of 20 pounds or more boiled or live shrimp, crawfish, catfish, crabs, frog legs, and much more.
And how do I get in touch with J&N's Big Easy Seafood?
Just call them up. Call 985-640-8822. That's 985-640-8822.
It's our obligation to ourselves, our families, and our people. Now let's go. First of all, rest in peace, George Carlin and Michael Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You're listening to Battle of New Orleans Radio right here on 990 AM WGSO. Before we go any further, I want to bring on Caleb Hitt because he has something he wants to talk about. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I just want to speak to the listeners who are, we obviously, we've had discussions and different guests on the show and dealing with the case of Thomas David, House of Deegan in West Virginia. Due to lack of time, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but just to give an update on him, obviously he's been fighting for our freedom from the corporate government system in West Virginia, of course. But at any rate, I actually talked to his mother. She tried to get a hold of me. I talked to her on the phone last weekend, and she wanted me to tell people what's up with him. He was sent to the Huntsville prison in West Virginia. While he was there, the security guards were basically threatening his life, telling some of the other inmates that he was a toucher. I'm talking about children. And so some of the inmates were asked, well, why are you a toucher? And of course he would say, well, I'm not a toucher. And then also they were spreading the word that he was a sovereign terrorist, of all things. So they're trying to condition the other inmates' minds about him. He's June 6th, he was transferred to the Mount Olive prison. This is the maximum security prison in the state. His mom informs me that he's been, when she talked to somebody at the prison, they told her he was in the infirmary. Had been there for 3 days at the time. She tells me that they've been torturing him and once again telling him the guards been telling him that they're going to kill him. So who knows what actually really is going on. But for those who want to, if those who remember us talking about him, of course, wish to send him an encouraging letter, you can write directly to Thomas at the address of Thomas Deegan, OID number 3559707, Mount Olive Correctional Complex, 1 Mountainside Way, Mount Olive, WV, zip code 25185. I can also say that Phil Hudock, who we've had on the show, and also his fellow complainant, along with Thomas Gene Stonecker, have been attempting to set up a meeting with the governor of Earl Ray Tomblin of West Virginia to work out a deal of a pardonship, and also in connection with the complaint that they still have pending in the West Virginia State Court of Appeals in relation to, that goes back to restoring the constitutional form of government and breaking away from the corporate system, of course. But like I said, I promised Darlene, Thomas's mother, that I will go ahead and get the word out.
Well, we surely appreciate that, and if you don't mind, Caleb, put all that information on Battle New Orleans Facebook page, and maybe we can get that out. I'm planning on sending them a letter for sure.
Sure,
Yeah,
any
you can also check that out on the
full
on the
updates
podcast,
on whodoc.info.
Okay, all right, great. That sounds great. Appreciate that information there, Caleb. You know, go ahead, Goyim. I want to hear, your take on, really what's going on, because I know you predicted this for months and months and months. You said accurately, wait till the last week of the NBA Finals, and all hell's going to break loose. And what do we have?
You saw what happened with Dylan Ruth last year. It was 2 days after the NBA Finals ended, and you can't buy anything Confederate. Southern Baptist Convention said that anything Confederate must be banned from the Southern Baptist Church or any affiliation to the church. You can't buy anything on Amazon that has any, rebel flags or stars and bars or anything like that. So the ends justify the means, as they say. They stage the event, they get the results, and you see right now this demonization of guns. That's the point of all the mass shootings, which obviously have a lot of question marks. I mean, we're looking at 1,000 rounds, 7 minutes, 50 dead, 53 wounded. Now you're hearing James say 49 dead. The numbers are off. Maybe the SWAT team did this. Maybe the things just don't match up, Nathan, Caleb, and the listeners. I mean, you got 1,000 rounds in 7 minutes. Of course, it's a concealed weapon, but what is that, 30 rounds each mag? That's 40 mags. How does this guy take that all in by himself? And again, though, like Nathan was saying, keep your eyes open, because right now into the next, let's say 2 or 3 weeks, expect a lot of stage shootings, mass shootings. I mean, it's just whether they're real or people really die or don't, or there's a lot of question marks. Either way, they are going to justify the means that in the end that these globalists want. Obama, time and time again, it said Saul Alinsky, rules for radicals. This is kind of his playbook for what he does is community organizing behavior,
You just look at it. Okay, this guy been to Saudi Arabia. Okay, he worked for a contracting firm connected to the CIA. He had clearances. He had a weapons permit from New York, which is almost possible to get. The FBI watched him for 10 months, followed his surveillance. His father has been to the White House. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And one of the FBI investigating him had the same surname, Siddiqui. So he might even, who knows, he may even have loose relations to one of the FBI that was arresting him, according to IntelliHub. So, man, ladies and gentlemen, you've listened to another fine episode of Battle of New Orleans Radio. We surely appreciate it. Thank Phil the Patriot.
Wake up, America.
That's right. That's right. We thank Phil, and we thank everybody that came out to the monument cleaning last week. Thank you, Caleb Hitt. Thank you, Goyim. Just God bless. And look, you know what I'm saying? We need to, come together as a community. We need to, have some community organizing, because the people on the other side are very, very, very organized, like a well-oiled machine. So it's time we get out in the community and we start standing up with our brothers and sisters and start making a difference. Ladies and gentlemen, Battle of New Orleans Radio. Next week we have Dr. David Duke and anti-New World Order rapper Payday Monsanto. We'll be taking phone calls Wednesday, 7 to 9, WGSO.
We fired once more, they began to run it. Down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico.
I'm Jeff Cruer.
I'm Eric Asher. You can always catch us on the radio right here on WGSO 990 AM.
Did you know you can catch us on TV?
That's right, Jeff. We're on WLAE TV.
Join me every Friday on Ringside.